what Prabhuji have anything in me. It's Prabhuji's magnanimity and humility that he's saying all those beautiful words for me, but I'm very insignificant. Before we start this session, I would like to say a small prayer. Om Ajnanatimrandasya Jnananjalashalakhya Chachurunnitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Namo Vishnupradaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschadeshatani Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advait Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna.
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for giving me the opportunity to present this session today. So, the topic of today's session is how to catch a fish without getting wet, law of karma, and work to gain freedom. Okay, so before we start off with this session, so the first is how do you find true happiness? Before when we talk about true happiness, I would like to put a question to you guys. It is going to be a very interactive session, so let's start off with a question. So, what was the best moment of your life when you felt happy? Anybody? When you felt happy, okay, this was the moment of my life. I was so happy. So, open. Let's. This is a very general question, right? We all crave for happiness. We long for happiness. So, anybody, any thoughts?
Yes, when we 3 years back, I became grandmother of
Oh,
a twin son. I was very happy because I
oh,
was waiting for that moment for such a long. Then after 2 years, my daughter got a baby. I was very happy. So these were happy moments.
very good, Mataji. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. Yes. So you felt happy in those moments when you got blessed with your grandchildren, right? So anybody else would like to share? Share the happiness. We don't share sorrow, but definitely we should share the happiness, right? Anybody? No?
I'll quickly share. So around maybe 20 years ago, when my son got his admission in Thomas Jefferson School, that moment was, a very happy moment for us. We were very, very happy to learn that he has gotten into one of the best schools compared to many other happiness we had in our life.
So, so achievement makes us happy, right? Accomplishment makes us happy, right?
Yes.
Satisfaction makes us happy, right? Contentment makes us happy, right? These are the definition of being happy, right? Right
Yes.
or not?
Yes.
Perfect.
That is how we see it. Yes.
Yes. That is how we see, and we'll see what we see is the correct way of seeing the life, or this is just a facade that we have created around ourselves. So we'll talk about it in these subsequent slides. We'll hope to convey this message. So now, coming to we are all searching for the happiness, right? Whether that's a true happiness or is a mirage, we'll see. So when we talk about the happiness, right, there are different level of happiness. Okay, is the slide moving for you all?
Not yet, Mataji.
Okay. Now it's moving, right? Yes, no.
Yes.
Okay, where can we find true happiness? So we just we are just talking what is happiness right now. Whether it's true happiness or just a happiness, we'll talk about it. Okay. So next is we are all searching for happiness, right? This is the purpose. Like we are working to be happy, right? Depends what exactly is the real meaning of happiness, but we are working to be happy, right? Ultimate goal is to be happy and peaceful, right? And live a blissful life, right? The life that is full of joy, right? That is our purpose. So we are all searching for happiness. So there are different level of happiness. Okay. So the level is spiritual level. We can be happy. At the intellectual platform, we can be happy. At the mental platform, we can be happy. And we can be happy at the physical platform. So let's see what we exactly mean by being happy at these 4 level of platforms. So when we talk about physical happiness, what exactly we are talking here? Physical happiness, like for somebody going to a ice cream parlor makes him happy. For somebody getting early morning a hot coffee makes him happy. So this is all at a very platonic level, right? At a very physical level. The material things make me happy. Very small material thing make them happy. But are these a permanent happiness? We have to talk about that. Now we talk about mental happiness. There are some people who are very artistic, right? They feel joy in music, art, poetry, sports, different activities that they do that calms their mind. They're like some people who, when they're very taxed, they're very stressed out in their work, they like to do cooking. They say that cooking is a relaxation for them. I wish my husband liked that type of activity. I would be so blessed, right? Whenever he was stressed, he could cook. But that does not happen in my house. So that's a different thing. But yeah, for some people, that is what makes them happy. Just cooking. So that is relieves their mind, right? And then there are activities. So we find happiness in different activities, right? So what are the different activities that we find happiness? Some people find happiness in sports. Some people find happiness in drinking. Some people find happiness in doing parties. Some people find happiness in doing activities that stir up their adrenaline, right? And some people find happiness in doing all sort of crazy fashion. So everybody has a different sense of being happy, right? So this is all at the mental level and the physical level, these type of happiness that we are discussing. Now there is another level of happiness that is called intellectual happiness. So what is this intellectual happiness? When it's like it triggers your IQ level, right? The happiness that really triggers your brain to work. There are some people who are very have a good IQ level, or they really want their brain to be involved very much in the activities. So they do like activities like they participate in debate, they go for chess playing and all these stuff. So these are, and they get happiness out of it. So we talked about physical happiness, mental happiness, intellectual happiness. So there are different levels and categories of happiness. So in order to achieve this happiness, right, we are working tirelessly at various level wherever we are stationed, right? So there are so much of advancement made just to make us happy. Science is working scientists are working tirelessly, right, just to get us in a level where we can always be happy, right? So all these advancement we have got these high tech planes, we have got these high tech communication tools, right? We have social media, we have all these iPads are there, tablets are there, laptops are there, everything we have got just to make us happy mentally, intellectually, physically. We have all these gadgets. Whatever we can think of, we have got access of it. But again, with all these advancements, why are we not always happy? Definitely, we just discussed that at some phase of our life we are happy. But does that happiness is a continuous process? Does this happiness continue going? Or it's like okay, that period of time, that zone you were happy. And after that, that happiness does not give you that acceleration that you can continue to be happy. Right? Just like as one Mataji said, right? His son got into the best of the college. She was very happy. But does that happiness, that moment of happiness, can continue to trigger her all her life? Yes, when she remembers that moment, she'll be happy. But can she say that now with this happiness, she'll always be happy? That is the big question that we have to look for. And that is the answer that we'll try to address in this session. So when we come to human form of life, right? We are supposed to be the very intelligent human being among all the living entities that are there. Human beings are supposed to be most intelligent. But if we want to quantify our intelligence, how can we justify that we are very intelligent? Of course, we have all these scientific advancement that we have made and we already discussed. But still, we are not happy. right? We are still not happy. That is not giving us true happiness. We are like animals. We are like eating like them, sleeping like them, uh, sleeping, eating, mating, and defending like them, right? So how are we? So of course, there is a level of sophistication in our eating. Now we go to five-star hotel, we go to hotel that is revolving. Like in Seattle, we have a revolving hotel on that Space Needle. All that advancement we have best of the mattresses to sleep, we have a very sophisticated way of defending ourselves, all the jet planes are there, so many advancement we have made with the limited intelligence that we have, even though we think where we are very intelligent, but with a very limited intelligence we have made all these advancement in our life to get true happiness. But we are very much similar to animals. Even animals defend. If we defend with jet planes and the fighter planes, they defend with their claws, whatever they have, with their teeth, with their speed. They defend us. They defend their territory in that way, right? If we can eat in a very sophisticated way, they can eat in their limited intelligence they have. They eat, right? So how are we saying that we are different and superior from animals? Are we? Are we superior than animals? We are social animals, right? So can we say we are superior than animals apart from the little bit of sophistication we have? Yes? No? Are we superior to animals? No? Anybody is listening to me or is like
No, no, we are
so
listening. Uh,
yes, Mother.
Well, we think we are better than animals. We think we are better than animals. We have thinking power and we can do so many things. You can put animals in some places, but we are free. We can do whatsoever we want to do. So we are better than animals.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Mataji. Yes, that is the thing. We think we are better than animal because we have created that superior aura around us to facilitate these four things that even animals do, right? But I think so at one time, and we can discuss more about this. You are right. We have uplifted with our intelligence, with the means of technology, our way of defending and the way we eat, the way we produce the progenies, all that we have advanced ourselves. But still, even after this advancement, we are not happy. Right? Now we'll come to about spiritual level of happiness. The happiness that connects your soul to the Lord. And how can we do that? How can we do that? How can we get that spiritual happiness? There are various means, if you can see here, like doing the praying, the yoga, reading scripture, taking the shelter of sadhu, sastra, guru, that is what we say, and doing the chanting the mantra. What is mantra? Mantra means man and tra. What is mantra? When you connect your mind, when you deliver your mind through the chanting the holy name of the Lord. So these are the spiritual activities that help us understand what is our real purpose of life. Why, when we have got all the amenities around us, we have our friends, we have our relatives, we have all the gadgets, we have all the luxury. Why are we not always happy? We have a sprinkle of happiness around us. We feel happy at one time. But why this happiness not everlasting? Why can't we say today, okay, today I am happy, this is my moment of happiness, and this will stretch till the end, last breath of my life? Why can't we give ourselves that certification? This is the biggest question, right? So if we talked about four levels of happiness, we talked about what are the four levels of happiness? Anybody remembers? Just talked about mental happiness, physical happiness, intellectual happiness, and spiritual happiness. We will elaborate more on the aspect of spiritual happiness. Okay, so let's talk about now. We talk more about, as we were discussing, animals and human being, right? How are we really superior to animals? The biggest difference between animal and human being is the animals cannot inquire, right? They don't know what's the purpose of their life, right? They are just busy eating, meeting, sleeping, and defending. That is all they know because of their very low intelligence. But human being, as Mataji you mentioned, right, Meena Mataji, we have a very high intelligence, right? We have an IQ level, we have an intellect. So we are 99% of the people are utilizing their intellect please themselves for their own sense gratification. Oh, I like to play chess. That triggers my mind. That makes me feel that I have a very good IQ level. That makes me feel superior to other. So we are utilizing our intelligence for our own sense gratification. We are not utilizing our intelligence that makes a difference from animal. That the tendency to inquire. We are not utilizing that. We should be thinking why are we on this earth? This body that we have given it just to enjoy, then why God gave us this body? Why I did not get the body of an animal? These are the things we have to inquire to get into the path of true happiness. We keep talking about true happiness. These are the questions that has to trigger in our mind to get true happiness. So human being has a higher intelligence. We don't deny this fact. But what we use this intelligence, that's the bigger question, right? We are busy using this the real reason to have this intelligence is to understand the reason for our suffering. Why our happiness cannot be everlasting? What is the purpose of my existence? How I can harmonize our life with the law of nature, with the law of God. That is the purpose that we have got this body. And once we understand this, then your happiness will be eternal, everlasting. Then you don't have to wait for these small moments to feel joyous, and then you are back to your regular life, the monotonous, routine, regular life. Okay? So this human life, we cannot control our birth, right? Can we control our birth? Okay, I want to be born with this father, this parent. No, we cannot do that. That is all decided based on our, I think so, and we'll talk about it, our karma and our unfulfilled desires. So we cannot control our birth. We cannot even control how we are going to die. So what is one thing that we can control between B and C, between B and D? There is a C, right? We can make the right choices. Even though you have a fixed destiny, still you can make the right choices to transform your destiny to do a good karma. That freedom is still with you to make the right choices. Correct? We still have that freedom. So, human life is given for us to inquire, given for us to make the reasoning of this existence. Why are we in this life? What is the purpose? How can I attain this purpose? Right? This is and once we analyze this, the purpose of this life, then we are promoted to higher life. And then we get the real devotional service to serve the Lord. And then we are free from the cycle of birth and death. So these are the letters. So anybody would like to read this? The man who has escaped these three? Anybody?
I can do it.
Thank you, Nilesh Prabhu.
The man who escaped these three gates of hell, lust, anger, and greed, O son of Kunti, performs acts conductive to self-realization and is thus gradually attains the supreme destination.
Beautiful. Thank you, Prabhu. So, Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says in the chapter 16, right? Trivedam narka sevam dwaram nasnam atmana kama krodh tatha lobhas tasmat etam triyam tajet. So, Krishna says the door to hell is anger, lust, and greed. And I think so the biggest enemy in today's world is anger. We are not able to control our anger. Even young kids, their anger is like a bubble. Any time it will just burst. So till the time we are in this zone of anger, lust, and greed, we cannot elevate to get the true happiness. So the difference between human life and animal life, the key difference is human life, we can inquire and elevate our existence. But in animal life, we have so low intelligence. We are just busy eating, meeting, sleeping, and defending. We don't inquire. And then we are demoted to the lower form of life, that is animal. So this human life is very precious. We should not waste our life doing just the regular stuff which even an animal can do. There is a bigger purpose to this human life. So now we understand that human life can develop the reasoning power to ask. Now we know, right? Because of our higher intelligence, we can ask these questions. Why am I suffering? Why my happiness is not everlasting? Why it is not a true happiness? And where do I go after this life? What happens to this life of mine? Once I die, what happens to me? These are the questions you ask because you have a tendency to inquire, because you have a higher intelligence. Make your life worth by asking these questions. So the question is, why am I suffering? Anybody has any thought before you proceed with the next slides? Why are we suffering?
We're suffering because we don't know what the future holds, and we live in the past, and we don't live in the present and enjoy the present as it is.
Very good, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Yes, that is one reason of suffering. Sticking to the past, not enjoying the present, and worrying about the future. Yes, that is one way of thinking about why we are suffering. But the people who enjoy, Prabhu, the present, are they not suffering ever? Oh, I'm enjoying my present. Oh, I'm a beggar. I'm so much enjoying my life. They don't suffer.
Well, they do, but you know what? They're at least trying to live in the moment and learning about to use that moment of time, because time is the only essence that's very, the commodity of time is something we cannot buy, sell, or regain. So today is today, and I'm spending my time with you guys, and my time today is learning about not suffering. So therefore, I am living in the presence of knowledge.
Very good, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Awesome. So let's see how we can elevate, how we can obviate, not elevate, how we can obviate suffering permanently with the process that will be shown in these slides. So why am I suffering? Because we have problems, right? There are so many problems. Ask anybody, touch anybody. Do you have any problem? And he'll have a list of problems he can narrate to you. List of problems. You have to just touch him. Just speak to him kindly, nicely for a few minutes, and he will share your problem. At least not a very deep problem, but yeah, at least the basic problem that he's facing or immediate problems. So if I ask you, what are the problems in your life? Just anybody's life, not in specific your problem. When you think about problems, what are the problems in human life? What are the problems? Not getting job, one problem, right? What are the problems?
I think at my age, the problem is, do I have enough to retire and enjoy what I need to retire on?
Yes, very good problem, Prabhu. What about others? So these are the problems, right? Somebody is not happy with his body, he want to have a really good physique. Somebody has a family problem, job problem, money problem. I don't look that good. Oh, I failed my exam, I did not well. So everybody has these problems. But are these problems really the real cause of suffering? These are the problems that can be solved because everybody was at one stage of that. Even I, when I graduated, immediately I did not get a job. So there was a period in my life when I did not have a job. So these are transient problems. These can be avoided. These can be taken care of by your persistence, by your hard work, by your resilience. These can be taken care of, right? These are not the problem that you can sulk and sulk and sulk because there are people who have taken care of these problems. So are these the real problem in your life? This is something that we have to think. I know for that particular moment, people think, okay, God, I don't have money. This is the problem. But seriously, are these the real problem of life? They're a bigger problem in life. Can anybody think what is the bigger problem in life? You know. So, what's the real problem? A problem can be considered a really big, huge, unavoidable, real problem when it is common to all. Say somebody has no job. I have a job, so this is not my problem anymore. I work to get my job. So my problem is over. Right? So a problem which is common to all and a problem that nobody wants it, but still they get it. They cannot avoid it. Can anybody think what is that problem?
Death.
Beautiful. And
If we are worried how that we know we will be dying one day, but how? That is the main problem. Silently, quietly,
and
or
that will
with suffering. That is the
That
problem.
also. We'll talk about that. So, very good, Mataji. Veena Mataji, excellent. Yes, that is one problem. Problem. Called problem. Not getting job, not getting girlfriend, not having money. These are very small problem in the big spectrum of cosmic manifestation. These are very small problem. I know people take this to heart and then they leave life. Means that is what. That is what. This is the session to understand to broaden our horizon. This is the session for that. So Mataji, beautiful. One is death. Others are, can we control our birth? When we are born in the womb, you think so it's a very pleasurable 9 months? No, they are painful 9 months. Birth, death, old age, disease. These are the four problems you cannot avoid. These are the problems. These are the problems that we should be worried about. So the four real problems are birth, old age, disease, and death. Can we avoid these problems? You see, oh my God, I will never get sick. Come what may, I'll be always healthy and then I will die healthy. Can we say that? Can we avoid being old? Forget about not getting girlfriend. Can we avoid being old? Can we avoid the death? And can we avoid being not born in this material world? No, we cannot. So these are the real problems. We have to work toward this problem, not the minuscule problems that we just discussed. So in Bhagavad Gita, it says one who can perceive birth, death, old age, and disease as real problem is in real knowledge. And when he has this real knowledge, then he can find the way to true happiness. Everything is interrelated. Nothing is working in silo. So we all know about this story about Siddhartha, right? Who once got enlightenment, become Lord Buddha. When he saw this situation, right? When he went from we all know this story. So and we have a lot to cover. So I won't be elaborating in detail on this. But we know when when King Siddhartha saw the situation of people, when somebody had died, somebody was suffering with sickness, somebody was suffering with old age, and some kid had just born. He was bewildered. What is all this happening? What is all this going on with the human life? He was bewildered, but we are not bewildered. We think that this is the natural phenomena, and we don't go beyond that. We are not surprised that a childhood, from childhood we become youth, we become old. We are not surprised with this transition of human body, but we question, oh, will we get the next life? Will we get the next body? If you ask people, if you ask people, not in this forum, in outside forum, they doubt the theory of reincarnation, but they don't see the miraculous transformation of a human body. So this much small boy becomes old. That transformation nobody question. तो अस्मिन् मता देहि कौमार्यं यौवनं जरा तथा देहिंतरा प्राप्ति धीरे सत्या न भूयति. Why sober purple does not get bewildered by that, right? But like Siddhartha, he was like, what is this going on with this human life? And we are making so much of effort to avoid this problem. Oh my God, scientific advancements are working day in and day night to avoid this problem. Have we been able to avoid this problem? You want to look young forever. Can you do that? No. You can apply some cosmetics and Botox and all that stuff. That is a temporary, transient thing. It cannot be permanent. No matter how rich you are, right? You cannot stop being old, right? One day this face will have wrinkles. No, we cannot avoid that. See, no matter how much we fight, right? We have taken care of dengue, polio, and all that. Now new diseases are happening. Coronavirus happened. No matter how much we try to fight, something will take its place. HIV is there. Still, we are suffering with the various level of cancer. If it's an advanced cancer, we cannot cure it, right? So these things are happening, and we are not concerned about this. But as Mataji said, right, that is obvious. And when you're dying, it's very painful. All your senses stop working. And it is like it says, right, in Garud Purana, it says it's like sudden million of scorpions are stinging your body. You're stung by scorpions. So at that time, think about your situation. If you're busy in enjoying the false happiness, then you will continue in the next birth with that same false happiness that is stored in your subtle body. And this is very clearly mentioned in the Garud Purana. So death is not easy. And we have to prepare for this death. This is our journey for our final exam. What is my final exam for this gross body? My death. Death is my final exam. And I have to prepare for this final exam. Some people are not preparing well, and some people are doing their preparation well, so they will pass the exam. It is up to us. We have to make that C, the choice. And now you all are attending this class. That itself says that you have taken that first step. You have made the right choice. You want to understand. You are inquisitive. You are inquiring. So that's a start. You're already there in the process. So when we talk about miseries, right? First we talked about 4 problems, not the minuscule problem, the real problems, right? So what are the 4 problems? Anybody can help me quickly? 4 problems? 4 problems? Death
Birth, disease, death,
and the slugging problem, old age.
Old age.
old age.
Nobody can avoid that. We all will go through that, right? So beautiful, all these 4 problems. But we have a way, we have a solution, we have a master key to all these problems. Okay? Now we'll talk about miseries, right? First we talked about problems. Now we are going to talk about miseries. So there are 3 types of miseries we cannot avoid. In this material body, in this material world, we cannot avoid these 3 types of misery. One or the other misery will sting you like a scorpion. So what are the 3 miseries? The miseries that are caused by our own body and mind. The miseries that are caused by our own body and mind. The miseries that are caused by others. And the misery that is caused by natural calamities. So the miseries that are caused by our own body and mind are called adhyatmic. The miseries that are caused by others, other living beings, that is called adibhautik. And the miseries that are caused by natural calamities are adyavic miseries. So anybody would like to give me any example of the misery that is caused by your own body and mind? Come on, we are all suffering from that.
Yeah.
Nervousness, depression, anxiety. This is all caused by our own body and mind, right? We over speculate, we overthink, we make a small problem this big, and then we blot it, then we balloon it, then we make it fly, and then we come to the tendency of committing suicide also.
Sometimes we don't feel good, right? We are not well from inside. Sick, we are sick.
Depression, Mataji. We are depressed, we are distressed, right?
Yes.
Why? Because we are taking this human life at a very platonic stage. We are not understanding the essence. I'll give you an example. This means in my career, and everybody can share. Feel free to share. Just starting like, because we have a blotted false ego. If anybody tries, like, suppose I'm a manager, right, and I'm doing some documentation and I'm sharing with another manager, and instead of doing the technical correction, okay, he's doing the editorial correction, and then you feel like, why is he trying to rephrase my own sentence? This is the way I put that sentence. Why is he correcting that? So my false ego is triggering, right? And I keep thinking that, should I reply to him in that tone in an email, or should I let it go? So and then I'm mulling over it, right? I'm wasting my precious life on such an insignificant thing in my work because I'm not that elevated. I'm still with my false ego. False ego, that how my peer can correct me when we both are at the same level. I'm equally good at him, like him or like her. So that is it. And then I'm taking pain for that. It's so funny, right? So because we are all this material body, what we can expect in this world, which is a dukhalyam and ashashvatam, what can we expect in this world? So anybody has something like that? Anybody wants to share that they, like, in their workplace or their personal friend, mystic, which comes from your own thinking, from your own mind. Anybody has any thought? That's okay. Misery from other living being. When other people are giving you misery, somebody comes and loots you, he becomes the cause of your misery, right? You get a snake bite, that becomes the cause of your misery. When other living entity is responsible for your misery, can you avoid that? Nobody wants to be looted. Nobody wants to be robbed. Nobody wants to be get into any argument with anybody. Nobody wants to do that, but situation does that. And because of altercation, argument, you get a misery. Because, oh, how that person could say to me, how could he talk to me like that? How could he be so rude to me? So that person is sitting in your mind, and then you get a misery. You cannot avoid. You waste your precious hours, even days, even weeks, and even some people don't talk. They spend their entire life not talking, and that happens very, it means these are things that we generally do with our relatives, right? Something hurts because our false ego is so blotted, something hurts, and then we are like that. Anybody has any thoughts about miseries from other living being?
Yes,
You know,
Mataji.
just sorry, go ahead.
Please go ahead.
No, I was just saying, you were talking about workplace. Sometimes you feel like you try to compare yourself to somebody else in your team or extended team, and they went a lot farther than where you are, and you sometimes feel that, and you keep dwelling on that kind of thoughts, and it can create,
Yes.
yeah.
Very good example, Mala Mataji. Very, very good example. And that is very natural. We are human beings, right? Yeah,
Yes.
because our false ego, again, because we think that, oh, and there are times when we feel deserving, right? We are more deserving. How could he get the promotion? Oh, then we will have our own reasoning for that. Maybe he was a blue-eye boy, all that stuff, because we'll build our own castle of imagination just to prove ourselves we are right. Maybe we are right also. But time, place, and circumstances, right? Right place, right time. All these factors matter. And then again, it comes to your karma and all that stuff, right? That big cosmic picture that we have to present in front of us, right? So, yes, you're very right, Mataji. Excellent example. This was a perfect example. And then we have miseries from Harinam Prabhuji. You wanted to say something, sorry.
Yeah, Mataji, even this is very, very common with the living entities. Sometimes there are situation or misunderstanding, or although we try to explain everything, but people are not ready to listen. They just wanted to prove their own thoughts and opinion to be the right. And it's very common in today's world, because of the false ego inside, or I don't know what it is, but people are not receptive enough, to understand others concern, needs, or their thought process.
Very true, Prabhu. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Yes, very true. So another is we have a lot to cover. So I think so we have to quickly also try to speed up. So miseries from natural disasters, right? Tornado coming, storm coming, hurricane coming, all these are natural disasters. Tsunami coming, we cannot avoid this, right? but we are succumbing to it. So these are the miseries that we have. So apart from 4 problems that we discussed, these are the threefold miseries we have. So we already talked about, right? Like headache, stress, depression, then insect bite, tsunami, earthquake. So these are the 3 of them: Adi Bhautik, Adi Devik, and Adhyatmic. Okay. So from your mind and body, from other person or other entity, and from natural calamities. So these are the 3 miseries we cannot avoid in this material world with this material body. Okay. So we can go ahead with this again. Adhyatmic, this mind is the can be your servant and it can be your master, right? Both. So the people who make mind as their master, they cannot take this depression and all that, then they succumb to suicide. So this is what we are talking. So this is the same. We can quickly, I think so we can go with this. Now, stress, right? This is all stress given by others, right? So miseries from others, all these tornadoes, natural calamity. So we already talked about again, we are repeating Adhyatmic, Adibhautik, and Adi Daivik. These are the 3 miseries that will always sting us. So of course, we are smart people, right? We have higher intelligence. So we try to take care of these miseries. We try to take care of these problems by doing a band-aid to it. We don't have a permanent solution, but we try to pretend that we have solution to all the human problems, which actually we don't have that, right? So although we have made advancement in medical science and we have all these latest technology, are we really able to give a 100% solution to all these problems? No, right? We keep saying that we have got good advancement in the health and that is going to make us happy because now we won't get sick. Are we really true? Are we not getting diseases right now? We got recently, right? Coronavirus, it took lives and lives, right? So what advancement we keep talking about? So of course scientists say, right, we have made so much of advancement. We don't deny that. We have got the advancement in the technology. We are not against, but saying that technology is the permanent solution and it will give you true happiness, that is over speaking. That is like committing too much, right? So when we say problem old age, of course we ladies especially, they don't like white hairs, right? They always want to have hair that does not depict their age, right? So we use hair dryer. Old age wrinkle, we use the facelift. If we have any pain, immediately everybody says take acetaminophen, take Brufen, right? This is the temporary cure to the problem. What is the reason behind you getting those pain? We don't want to go to that level, right? Everything is very patchy, right? Everything is like, if we have breathlessness, you get oxygen tube. So all these are superficial patch up, right? Because we don't have the real understanding of this suffering and why exactly we are suffering. How can we make ourselves free from these sufferings? So science and technology, though they have made advancement, they are giving us temporary solution and that is wonderful. But still we are not there where we can stop our old age. We can eradicate all the diseases that are there in this earth, right? And we cannot even understand life. Can a person, can a science give you the, can a science and technology make sure that they can make any birth possible? No, they cannot. They can facilitate in the process of birth, but they need the sperm and the egg, right? They cannot do it everything by their own in vitro, so everything happens in a very scientific way. But still, they need the basic things, right? They cannot get it done in the lab. So all these, we have the limitation. We cannot control death, right? No matter how much advancement we have made. So still, we don't know what is the true happiness then. I know science cannot give us happiness. Temporary patching it can do, but it still cannot give us true happiness because we are bound by the 4 miseries, for 3 miseries and 4 problems, right? In this material world. So big question is, right? And I think so at some point in your life, you all would have asked, right? Where do I go from here? What happens to me when I die? And some people never ask it. There are people in this world, they're happy, eating, marrying, enjoying, every moment of their life saying that this is the only moment of my life. Who has seen the next life? And they waste this human life. There are 99% people here in this world thinking in this thought process. But there are 1 point, not 99.99%, I would say 0.01% are the one who really want to understand what is the better purpose of this life, this human life. How can I get over with these miseries of life, these problems of life? What can I do that I don't get this problem again? What can I do? They are really thinking about it and working towards it. So, in this session, we also have to start thinking in that direction. What can we do? Where do I go after this life, right? So, let's watch this video.
Oh, what's through this door? Where do we go? Is it nothing?
Yes, tell me, is it nothing? Yes? We have discussed about this, right? In the previous chapters also, I guess. No? So are we this body or we are the soul? We are body? Yes?
We are soul, right?
Yes. We are soul. Very good. Absolutely. We are soul. I mentioned, right? Krishna says in chapter 6, Dehino asmin mata dehi kaumaryam yovanam jara tatha dehintara prapti. This is what Krishna says. He says, the way we go from childhood to adolescent to health, adult to old age to death, same way the soul transmigrate from one body to another. We believe in the theory of reincarnation that is told by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. So it's the same person. If you see in this slide, he's riding, one time he was riding bike, then motorcycle, car. So that way, our soul, right? It moves from one body. So this body is like an attire, a cloth. After a while, right, we take off that dress and wear a new dress, right? Same way, this body is like a dress. In this life, I have got this dress. In next life, based on my karma, based on my desire, I will get a new attire. I don't know what that attire is going to be, but we can plan that. We can decide on that by our good karma, by making the right choices. So that is still with us. That freedom is still with us. We can still carve our next birth. Or maybe we don't have to go for the next birth. This is still in you. That trump card is still with you all. How you want to orchestrate your life going forward. So the soul leaves the gross body and it takes a new body, right? This is so the spirit soul moves from one body to another body. And what it happens? And kale chamam evam smaran mukti. Anybody wants to read this shloka? This is a very powerful, impactful promise by Lord Krishna. अंत काले च मामेवां स्मरण युक्ता कलेवरम या प्रयाति सामद भावम याति नास्ति अत्र संशया. If just by remembering Lord Krishna, one can get the shelter of Lord Krishna. But if you remember something else, then you will take that body, right? So the question is, how will you remember Lord Krishna at the time of death? When the death is so painful. When Garud Puran says that it is like millions of scorpions are biting your body. How will you do Antkale Chamami Misparam Nikta Kalibram? How are you going to remember Krishna? Tell me. Krishna says you remember me and then you will attain me. But how will you remember Krishna? That's the big question. When you are running after false happiness, how will you attain Krishna? Beautiful example. Has anybody heard about Ajamal? quickly I will tell you this story. So Ajamil was a very pious Brahmin, okay? And he was following all the regulatory principle, taking the shelter of Shastras and following his father, his parents. He was a very, sorry. Yes, Mataji. Anybody saying anything? Okay, so he was a very pious Brahmin. One time he got attracted to a prostitute. Okay, it's a very big story. But to save on the time, I'm just going to quickly wrap it off. So he got attracted to a prostitute, and what he did, he left his family, he left his beautiful pious wife, and married this prostitute. And of course, he was a very virtuous Brahmin, right? Very pious Brahmin. Now he left all the Brahminical quality. He started doing all the degraded work. He started cheating. He started robbing. Whatever bad thing you can think about, he started doing to earn his livelihood. So he got degraded. And then he got, I think so, 10 odd children he got from that prostitute lady. And the youngest child, he named his at Narayan. Okay, so what happened? He was 88 years old and he was on the deathbed. So when he was dying, he saw three Yamdutas. Of course, Yamdutas are not good looking, right? They are very horrifying, scary. So he got very scared. He got scared for his life. He thought, oh my God, my end is near. What can I do? And he loved his son a lot. Narayan, the youngest one, he loved him a lot. He started calling Narayan, Narayan, Narayan. The moment he started calling Narayan, the holy name of the Lord, even though his intentions were different, but he said holy name of the Lord, Narayan. What happened? Vishnu Duta came because he called Lord Narayan. So now the fight is happening between Vishnu Duta and Yamaduta. Yamaduta is saying, no, he's a sinful guy. He has done all the sin in his life. For 50 years, he has been just doing all the sin and he should be taken his time. Then Vishnu Duta, but he said the name of Lord. He cannot take him. And Ajamil is listening to all this discussion that is happening between, all this argument happening between Vishnu Duta and the Yamduta. So of course, after that, when Vishnu Duta say, Yamduta has to leave. So he gets to live again, Ajamil, just because he spoke, I would not say he chanted, because that consciousness was not there to chant. He was calling his son, Narayan. But our Krishna is so merciful. Whichever bhava you call, he comes to you. So what happened? He got the second chance to live. And then he realized the purpose of life. He left everything. He went to Prayag and spent rest of his life serving the Lord, and then he went to Vaikuntha. That is the power of the holy name. The name of the Lord is not different from Lord. But can we remember that name? If we have not remembered that name in 99 years of our life, can we remember that name when we are suffering? Everybody cannot be a Jamil and everybody cannot get second chance. So we have to think about that. The story is in the Bhagavad Puran in Srimad Bhagavatam, beautifully explained.
Thanks again for sending me the money so I can buy this as well.
Oh, no. Leave this man alone.
Who are you? Just challenge us, for we are the Yamadutas.
So another story is, okay, let's see the.
Ah! Yeah.
So another story is of Gajendra. Okay, again the power of the holy name. So Gajendra who is the king of elephant, right? In the previous birth, he was Lord Indradumna. Okay, very pious king. He left everything to meditate on the holy name, meditate on Lord Vishnu. Okay, he was a very ardent devotee of Lord Vishnu. But then he did a mistake. He could not. But one sage Agastya came to his place of worship, his hut, and he was meditating on the Lord. So he forgot to greet him properly. And sage Agastya got very angry. And what did he do? He cursed him that in your next life you will become Gajendra. So now, but he was a very great devotee of Lord Vishnu. We have to remember that. So in next birth he became Gajendra. So this Gajendra, the elephant, the king of all elephant, was taking a bath in the river. And all of a sudden, a crocodile came to him and he attacked him. Gajendra tried very hard to get himself free from the crocodile, but he could not do that. In helplessness, what he said? He started remembering the Lord because he understand he cannot do anything by himself. He was now in this stage, he was completely dependent on the Lord because of his past life, right? He could recall the name of the Lord. He could recall the name of the Lord, and what he did, he took a lotus and he started remembering Lord. Because his remembrance was so pure, Lord Vishnu himself came and he protected him from that crocodile, and then he took him to Vaikuntha. So this story is also there in the Bhagavad Purana, beautifully elaborated story, and this also shows the power of the holy name. When you can surrender yourself completely to the Lord, when you are completely dependent on the Lord, when you have the Shraddha on the holy name of the Lord, these miracles will happen in your life. But you have to have complete faith, devotion, and surrender. So, on what basis is we awarded the next body? We know, right? I would not elaborate more on this, but let's quickly see. So, this is a beautiful verse. Anybody want to say this verse? Okay. It says, Yam yam yapi swaran bhava tajatayante kalevram tam tam eveti kaunteya sada tad bhava bhavita. It says, whatever you remember at the time of death, that is the nature you will get. So if you remember about your husband, if you remember about your child, if you remember of your kid, that's the body you will get in your next birth. But it also depends upon your karma, whether you will get that body, human body or not. So there are two things. Whatever are you thinking, whatever you're desiring at the time of death, your unfulfilled desires, and what karma you perform during the process of your life. These are the two factors. Okay, so there are two things, right? Desire stored in our mind at the time of death, and good, bad karma that we have incurred in the life. So when we talk about karma, right? Let's first see. So this lusty person, right? He was always, so he becomes a dog. Lazy person becomes a polar bear. Envious person becomes a snake. A person who is busy exposing his body, he becomes a tree. Person who is so much enjoying eating meat, you become a tiger. You become a lion. So demoniac person, right? You are just busy eating meat. You become tiger. You are always busy. You are just enjoying sleeping. You are wasting this life sleeping. You become a polar bear. Just sleep, keep sleeping. And this is, even though you are in a life of a Gajendra, if you have done pious activity, if you have devoted your life to the lotus feet of the Lord, even in the next birth, you are an animal, still you can get Lord. That is the virtue, right? So, very good example is when we talk about yam yam yapi swaram bhava, right? Tajatayante kalevram. So, whatever we remember, right? Do you guys know about King Bharat? Do you know how this Bharat is from Bharat only? You know that, right? Who is King Bharat? So King Bharat was a great leader. He was extremely pious. Okay. So like King Indratumna, he was extremely pious, very great devotee of the Lord. So he left everything and went to the forest. So to perform his devotional service in detachment and isolation. So what happened? One day he found a deer boy. Okay, deer. Okay, a baby deer, and he got attracted to the baby deer. He left everything so that he's not attracted to anything, and now in the forest he gets attracted to this baby deer. So what happens at the time of death? He's just thinking about this baby deer. Oh, what will happen to this baby deer when I die? Who will take care of this cute deer? So the such a great, elevated, exalted devotee now started thinking of our deer at the time of death. So he took the body of the deer. But since because he was such an exalted devotee, he remembered his life, that he was a deer. So next life he became Jad Bharat. So, but having said that, it is very important to ensure what you remember at the time of death. And this is where we make our right choices, right? So hearing is important, but practical application is the most important. Only then it will be possible to. So what is the practical application? Let's talk about that. So the practical application, and before we talk about that, I just wanted to tell about a little bit more about karma. So there are 3 types of karma. Quickly I will tell. One is the sanchit karma. Okay, we talk about 3 types of karma. One is the sanchit, one is the prarabdha karma, and one is the kriyamana karma. So sanchit karma is the karma that has been accumulated birth after birth after birth after birth. So that's a master ledger that is being kept by Chitragupt. You know who is Chitragupt, right? He's the minister of Yamduta, Yamdev. Okay, he's the minister of Yamdev. So he keeps the log of all your karmas, all your karmic activities. They are stored in the form of a seed there. All your good karma, bad karma. The master ledger is called Sanchit karma. Now, Prarabdha karma, whatever karma you are facing right now, it is some portion of that Sanchit karma is taken and it forms the Prarabdha karma. Okay, so whatever circumstances you're facing, whatever problems you're facing, whatever turmoil you are having in your life, whatever frustration, that's the part of your prarabdha karma. You have earned it based on what you have actions you have done in the past life. So that is your prarabdha karma. What karma you are facing now is your prarabdha karma. And then another karma is the kriyamana karma. So whatever actions you are doing now, that is building up your future karma. And now from the kriyamana karma, we'll go back to the sanchit karma. So that is how the life is. Sanchit, prarabdha, kriyamana karma goes back to the sanchit karma. And it adds to your master ledger. A master ledger of karma. So that is how the karma cycle flows. So if we are facing something, we should not be feeling bad. Oh, why am I facing that? But again, we should not be just blaming our karma. We still have the choices to make. We still have that freedom to do that, and we can get good karmas that will be added to my master ledger, that is sanchit karma. Okay, so these are the 3 types of karma that all the living entity goes through who are binded by the cycle of birth and death. So chanting the holy name of the Lord, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, is the most successful process that we have to do day in and day out to remember the Lord at the time of death. If we are more attached to the material things, how can we remember Lord? If we are busy earning, if we are busy getting happiness through others, how will you remember Lord? So that is the process. At the same time, Lord never says that you just leave everything and just start meditating on my holy name. Lord says, do everything, whatever you are doing. Do all your prescribed duty. If you are working, work to the fullest. But keep Krishna in the center of everything you are doing. If you get a beautiful house, very good. You get the most best house based on your desire. But make sure you use that house to serve the Lord. You call devotees, you do sadhu sangha, you arrange programs. If you have a car, get the best of the cars you have. But make sure you take devotees. You go to temple with that car. So everything you can utilize to serve the Lord. But that intention has to be there. That desire has to be there. Krishna is pleased by pushpam patram phalam toyam. Krishna does not say, you serve me the opulent prasadam bhoga, then only I will be happy. Krishna never says that. Krishna says, you are very busy? Okay, just offer me water. Put tulsi dal and offer me water, I'll be happy. That simple Krishna is. It's so simple to make Krishna happy. But we have our own excuses built by our own mind that this life of us is to enjoy. We have to get rid of this mentality. Law of karma and working to attain freedom. So we talked about 3 karmas: sanchit karma, prarabdha karma, and kriyamana karma, right? So and there are 3 other type of karmas, right? The karma is, first is karma where we do pious activities, right? We call it sukarma. Based on our prescribed duties, we do good activities and we get good karmas. And then there are vikarma where we misuse our power, when we misuse our freedom and we do all bad activities. When we do good karma, we go to the higher planets, right? We go to the heaven, enjoy that. When we do bad karma, we go to the hellish planet and suffer and then come back to this world. Whether you do good karma, bad karma, you have to come back to this world again. You have to take birth in this birth again based on your karma and based on your desire. That you cannot be free from. You cannot be free from the cycle of karma. You cannot be free from the cycle of karmic reaction if you have any reaction. But so in this case, disparity in this word, one is beautiful, one is ugly. Why? Anybody answer? Why one is beautiful, one is ugly, one is rich, one is poor, one is strong, one is weak, one is healthy, one is fickle? Why? Diseased? Why?
Based on their good and bad karmas, they'll be getting that particular type of body.
Very good, very good. Absolutely correct. Yes, very good. So when you incur sinful attraction, you cannot expect good to happen to you, right? First, you will, based on your karma, right? Chitragupta is keeping an account of your karma. First, he will extract your karma. Oh, you have done all these bad karma. First, go and face all that in the hellish planet. Come back to the earth. Come back to this material world and face that karma again. So you will be facing this karma. So we have to be very mindful of what karma we are doing. But then again, when we see a person suffering, we should not be putting on our philosophical hat and start blaming that person, right? A devotee always shows compassion. A devotee would not, oh, it was his karma, that is why he's suffering. No. Even though we know this, the reason behind a person suffering, but we should always wear a hat of compassion and understanding and provide whatever little bit service we can do to that person. Okay? Then when a person does pious karma, he goes and enjoys to the heavenly planet and then comes back and he has all these opulences. So on what basis the soul is awarded the next body we talked about, right? Yam yam yapi smaran bhava, and desire and your karma, right? These are the basis of getting a new body, right? Desire and your karma. If you do good karma, good will happen. Bad karma, bad will happen to you. So all the karma, whether good karma, vikarma or sukarma, it has some reaction. It may be a sinful reaction or it will be a good reaction, but it has some reaction. What is one karma that does not have any reaction? Anybody? What is one karma that does not have any reaction? If you don't have any reaction, then you don't have to come back to this word, right? What is one karma? Anybody? It is called akarma. It is called akarma, the most important karma. The karma that we do to serve the Lord. The karma that we do to perform the transcendental activities. The karma that is only to please the Lord. That does not have any sprinkle of having sense enjoyment, sense gratification. That type of karma does not give you any reaction, good or bad. So there is no good reaction. You don't have to go to the heavenly planet and come back. If there is no bad reaction, you don't have to go to the hellish planet and come back. So our aim should be to get what account in our ledger? Akarma. We don't have to have any. Then there won't be any ledger maintained in the Chitragupt. It is akarma. That is a karma that does not incur any reaction. And then it frees you from the cycle of birth and death. That is the karma we are looking for. Not good karma, pious activity, or bad karma, sinful activity. How can we do that karma? How you guys are the session that you are attending, this will be called as an akarma, because this session you are attending not for your own satisfaction. You are attaining this knowledge, you are attaining this peace, right? This knowledge, you are trying to transcend yourself, you are trying to understand the real purpose. So this is the service that you are doing to Lord without any personal motive behind it. That is akarma. So we know what is karma, right? What goes around comes around, right? Every action has equal and opposite reactions. So we talked about another karma we can talk about. So I'm talking about various flavors of karma. I talked about sukarma, vikarma, akarma. I talked about sanchit karma, prarabdha karma, and kriyamana karma. Now there is another type. There are reactions to the karma, right? When you do bad karma, what will happen? When you do good karma, what will happen? What I talked about is like a prolonged thing, but instantly what happens? So there are two types of reactions to a karma. One is instant reaction. Anybody giving me an example of instant reaction? You do bad and immediately bad happens to you quickly.
If we eat a wrong thing, then indigestion takes place the next day.
Yes. Anybody else apart from Bhavya? Veena Mataji. Nilesh Prabhu.
I think like what this picture shows, you smoke and you give a health problem.
Yes, Mataji. You drink and drive, you get DUI, right? Or you're caught by the cop, right? So if somebody slaps you, you immediately get the slap back, right? And delayed karma, the moment you sow a seed, immediately you get the fruits? No, right? There's a process, right? So that delayed karma, maybe you will get immediately that, maybe after few years you will get, or maybe you won't get it. You will get in the next life or after million lives. We had the example of Dhritarashtra, right? How he got 100 sons and all that, right? So that was one example, right? And we also have the example of Dashrath, right? Everybody knows the example of Dashrath? Shravan Kumar, anybody knows? Shravan Kumar? Dashrath? King Dashrath we know, right? We know King Dashrath. Who is King Dashrath? Ramayan?
Ram's father.
Very good. So King Dashrath, right? When he was a prince, he had not taken on the throne of Ayodhya. He was doing he had gone for the hunting, and unfortunately he killed Shravan Kumar. It was not intentional. He thought that there was a deer. He just saw some movement in the bushes and he thought that was a deer and he killed him. Unintentional killing, but it also incurs reaction. So what happened? He killed him. Shravan Kumar was carrying his blind parents, right, on his shoulder in two baskets, one on this and one on this side. So what now? Shravan Kumar said, please go to and tell my father that I won't be able to serve them anymore. But he was taking them to the holy trip, okay? He said, I won't be able to take them any further because now I have to die. Can you please, and can you give them some water? Because they were very thirsty. And he had gone to the forest to get water only, Shravan Kumar. So immediately, and this Dashrath was lamenting. He was a very nice prince. Very nice prince, okay? He was lamenting. He was remorseful for what he had done. Then he goes to his parents and tells them, okay, by mistake, I have killed your son, Shravan Kumar. What can I do? He said, no, their parents were so grieved, they were blind. And only hope was Shravan Kumar. They were crying, they were lamenting, and they said, now we will also die. We cannot live without my son. He was so good. And the parents of Shravan Kumar cursed him, right? Cursed Dashrath. What did they curse him? That you will also die in the pain of your son. So when Lord Rama was exiled, Lord Dashrath died, right? So that was a delayed karma, but he got in the same birth, in the same life. So that is one of the example. There might be some delayed karma that you don't even know. Why am I getting? Why am I suffering? What did I do wrong? Maybe in this birth you have not done anything wrong, but some birth you would have done wrong, right? And that is coming. That has been extracted from your sanchit karma, and you are getting in this karma. So everything has a very systematic reasoning behind it. And we have to awaken our consciousness to understand that. Okay? So, how we can engage our consciousness to understand why we are suffering? What is the reason for our suffering? If we engage in sinful activities like meat eating, gambling, intoxication, illicit sex, can we get our conscious cleansed? No. We are still doing vikarma, sinful activities, right? And now these are pious activities we are doing. See, doing the rituals, doing the yagna, doing the charity, these are sukarma, good activities we are doing. And this akarma I was talking about. When the activities that does not give any reaction, when the activity we do is to serve the Lord. Our only, like there are devotees in the temple, right? They will go and serve, they will dress up the deities. Some devotees will go and distribute book. Some devotees will go and invite the devotees at their place for the sadhu sangha, for the bhakti vriksha. So that all is the activities that is centered on Krishna. There is no personal motive. When you do these type of activities, when you keep accumulating these type of activities, then one day it will happen, then you would not come to this world. You would not come to this material world. You will be free from the cycle of birth and death, and that is the time you will get the true happiness, because then you will go to the spiritual world where there is only happiness, there is no duality. There is no happiness then sorrow. When you are time you are sick, then you are healthy. You are poor, you are wealthy. These things does not exist in spiritual world. That is the true happiness we are talking here. Okay, so these are the activities we just talked: distributing prasadam, doing bhajan, kirtan, making the garland, worshipping the deities, doing book distribution. These are the karma, doing the painting for the Lord, planting flowers for everything is centered around Lord Krishna. That is and when we elevate ourselves to these activities, that is the time we get the true happiness. That is the true happiness. And when we get the true happiness, when we are free from the cycle of birth and death, how are we going to be prone to these miseries? Misery of no birth, no age, no disease, and no death. We will not be, right? We'll be skipping all these miseries. But for that, we have to follow the rules and regulations of Lord. And what are these formula? What anybody can tell me, not Bhavya. Anybody can tell me A, B, C, D, and E of Krishna consciousness, God law.
Following the four regulative principles is one of them.
Yes, Prabhuji, very close. Very close. Excellent, Prabhuji. Very well tried. Thank you so much. A is association. B is book reading. C is chanting. D is diet. That is prasadam. And E is engagement. That is service. Very simple process. The process is so simple. We don't have to be a jnani to be elevated from the platform of material misery. Krishna conscious process is the simplest process, and that is why everybody is attracted to this process. The foundation of this process is Shastra. We don't speculate. We don't. Prabhupada says religion without philosophy is a sentiment, right? And religion without philosophy is a sentiment, and philosophy without religion is a mental speculation. So neither we back up the principles that are based on mental speculation, neither we have a foundation on sentiment, because we believe in the scriptures, we believe in the theory of sadhu, shastra, and guru. We understand we can only be elevated to the platform of akarma when we take the shelter of the pure devotees. We understand that principle, and this principle is so simple. Like we are already doing the process of association, and we are doing the book reading, and we are chanting. This is the chanting. We are all together and chanting the all the good qualities of Krishna in different forms, as exploring the options of true happiness. We cannot do prasadam right now virtually, but we can do after we are done, right? So this is all. This is such an engagement. This engagement is akarma we are talking here. So the process of Krishna consciousness is very simple. When you take the shelter of sadhu, sast and guru, you already will be having the capability to control your senses, and then you will get the spiritual knowledge. And the knowledge, the purpose of this knowledge is only, you are not going to be a jnani, you are a bhakti. You are taking the path of bhakti, you are taking the path of devotion. And what is this devotion we are talking? Simple process. Serve the Lord without any personal gain. That's all. Whichever way you can serve the Lord. There is no strict rules. But these are few of the processes that we talked about where we can serve the Lord. And when you serve the Lord with full faith, full devotion, full detachment, full dedication, then you will get the true happiness. You would not have to look for the happiness through others. The miseries would not come to you because you will not be affected by the dualities of the life. Okay. So we talked about food. Important thing. We should eat sattvic food. The food that is served to the Lord. If you cannot serve the food, that's okay. But at least offer something to the Lord. That's simple. Pushpa patram phalam toyam. Krishna does not want you to opulent prasadam. But at least don't go to the path of a non-vegetarian, right? Krishna never said serve me chicken, mutton and all that, right? So follow the scriptures. And what is in your quota? Okay, don't try to over and over. Don't try to overachieve. Don't try to do too much. Life is short. You have to remember to keep Krishna in the center, right? We have always to remember to keep Krishna in the center. Then also say, work. Don't work like a donkey. Work smart. Okay, work intellect. Achieve what is needed. You have to draw the line. You have to know, okay, today I'm a manager. What next step I have to rise? There is no limit to the want. In commerce, I had studied when I was young, wants and its satisfaction. The moment one want is satisfied, right? Another wants come in to take its place. So meaning, the moment you are satisfied with one thing, something else is coming to your life. It's a vicious cycle. We have to understand. We have to draw the line. Over and over. These are all the things, very basic things. You don't have to have illicit sex. Prabhuji said, right? 4 regulatory principles. These are the things we have to do. Right? You don't have to be demoniac, right? Just eating. Slaughtering and eating. And we don't have to oversleep, right? We don't want to be a bear, right? We want to have a good karma and good desires so that we can get human life if we cannot get liberated in this life to serve the Lord. Right? Recreation. What type? If you see garbage in, garbage out. If you are putting in bad stuff, what do you expect? If you are watching bad movies, horror movies, you cannot expect to have having a saintly thought when you sleep. Your dreams will be horrifying too. So try to have association of good books, good literature. It's difficult. It's very difficult. But somewhere we have to start, right? Because we are greedy to get true happiness. So this is the path towards that true happiness. So we already talked, right? Why can't material things make us happy? So we have all this. Why are we still not happy? Why can't we say our happiness is long lasting, everlasting, eternal? Why can't we say that? Because this material world, everything is changing, perishable. Dukhalyasam, ashashvatam, right? This place is temporary and this place is bound to give you misery. So what are these things? Everything is changing. Nothing is permanent. This is all temporary, right? So suppose you very much like to eat cake. If I give you cake every day at the same time, you will be bored of that cake. You will start hating the cake. So it's all changeable, right? And it is very limited. How long you can, suppose somebody wanted badly to be promoted, right? And he got that promotion. How long will you enjoy that thought of being promoted, right? After a while, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, now you are promoted. That enjoyment is stayed now. That thought is gone. Now you have challenges associated with that promotion. So everything is very short-lived. All these pleasures, all these happiness are short-lived. We are stung by the dualities, right? If you have a success, you also have a failure. If you have a misery, you also have a happiness. If you have a sorrow, you have a happiness, joy, right? So everything is a duality. So nothing's fixed in this life. Oh, I'm happy, I will continue to be happy because I gained this happiness. Why sorrow is coming? You are getting sorrow because you are bound by your karma. You are bound by your karma because you are into this material body. We have to understand this. This life we cannot get true happiness, and everything is relative. Anybody can give me the example of relative? This is beautiful. I want somebody's thought on this. Do we have anybody? Nilesh Prabhu.
Well, I mean, my biggest thing would be, you know, my aging parents. I mean, you're attached to them, and you know that they're going through old age right now, and the attachment is maybe when they pass to another lifetime, you're contemplating all the stuff that you did for them and how they made a difference in your life and how you made a difference in their life, and the pain that they're going through is the bodily pain, and you're trying to make it easier for them, and it's really difficult.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for sharing. Yeah, very valid point. Right, absolutely right. And Bhakti does not say that don't have to do our prescribed duty. Yes, we are attached, but then we have to also understand, right? This is, as you mentioned, right? Prabhuji rightly mentioned, this is a gross body. We have to have attachment, but we have to understand what is this attachment all about. We have to go again to the core understanding of this is just a covering we have. In this life, your parents have been born as your parent. In past life, we don't even know what they were, right? I know it's difficult, but we have to practice this theory. This is not just a philosophy. This is, we have to apply that philosophy to get the strength, to get into the right path of bhakti. That is why we discuss all this philosophy, right? So, coming to this slide, all worldly things are relative. This is beautiful. If you see this picture, right? This girl also has a plant, and this lady also has a plant, but she is not happy with the plant that she has. She is looking at the plant of other, and she's envious. Oh my God, why my plant is smaller than hers, right? So we always has that comparison. We are never happy with what we have. We lament what we don't have, and entire life we do that only. Oh, why I did not get promotion? Why she got? Oh, whatever you have, do the best. Maybe next time it will be your time to get the promotion. But we never do that. We are always into the mindset of having relativity to our things, which is again reason for not getting the true happiness. So what's that which will make you really happy? What is one thing? What is the mantra that will make you truly happy? Now somebody can read that and tell me. I want somebody to read this.
Our relationship with Krishna is everlasting. There is no dualities in the spiritual world. Krishna is absolute with all six opulences.
So what is permanent in this Shashwat Sari? What's permanent? Only one thing, our soul, right? When we die, when I leave this body today, if I die after this class, when I leave my body, this gross body which is called Shalini or Padma Kumari, this body will still be here. So why are you attached? You keep holding my body. You keep cuddling my body. What will die in this? My body is still there. Why are you worried? You are passionate about this gross body of mine, right? So you keep holding. I am not dead, right? What has died in me? I cannot talk now. I cannot think now. I cannot do any willing thing, right? So my conscious is gone. And what is this conscious? It is the presence of my soul, right? So in this body, I will give you quickly an example and then we can close this because it's already 11:30. I promised 11:20. So there was the old lady, right? Very rich, stinking rich old lady. And she was very fond of birds. And she had bird cages, right? Bird cage, very ornamental bird cages full of emeralds, gem, diamond, And she was very passionate about one bird cage because it was very expensive. She had paid exuberant price to get that bird cage, small bird cage, and she had put a very beautiful bird in that. So what she used to do, every morning she used to get up and she used to count all the gems that are there in the cage. And she used to keep cleaning all the, diamond and the emerald every day. That was her practice. She used to get up. She used to make sure the all the gems are intact on that bird cage and they are shiny and bright. So she was taking care of the bird cage. There was a bird also inside, right? So she was so busy taking care of that bird cage. Slowly, she stopped feeding the bird. What happened? What happened? The cage was shiny and brighty. What happened to the bird? Anybody?
It died.
Yes, that is what we are doing. That's what exactly we are doing. Entire life We have taken care of this body, and this body is also not ours. It will leave us. Because the soul has taken this body, this is my temporary body, soul has taken. Next birth, based on my karma, based on my sukriti, based on my desire, I'll get a next body. Being a devotee, Krishna has promised us, Srila Prabhupada has promised us, if we are chanting, if we are following ABCD principle, if we are not following 4 regulatory principles, we will get a human body. But a very pure devotee would not even want, a pure devotee is happy in any situation. He is not worried with the dualities of life. For him, even if he gets a hellish planet, he will be happy. You know why? He does not desire for a spiritual planet or a higher planet or upper planet, or he does not desire that. Do you know why? Anybody can tell why a pure devotee has no desire to go to any planet? He is happy in this world, he is happy in Patal Lok, he is happy in any loka. Tell me why.
Acceptance.
Acceptance, very good, Prabhu, very good. His acceptance to serve the Lord. His acceptance to serve the Lord in any condition he is. And then Krishna also reciprocates. Krishna is very merciful. He would not let his devotee rot. He would not let his devotee go to hellish planet. He will ensure that if you are a devotee, even though you are not to that level of being a pure devotee, little bit sadhana you have done, you will come again to this world as a human. This assurance Krishna gives. If you chant the holy name of the Lord, if you follow the 4 regulatory principles, if you take the shelter of the Shastra, if you take the shelter of the Guru and Sadhu, you will get the true happiness. So it starts from you. Now the ball is in your court. You have to start that process. Now it's your time to make the choices. When that choice you will make, you will start coming to the temple, you will start associating with these groups, you will make an effort. It will all be recorded in the ledger of the Lord, not Chitragut ledger, nor Krishna has his own ledger. It will be recorded there. And then you will start developing akarma. And then the more akarma you develop, 100% bucket is full, you won't come to this world. And you won't suffer all the 4 miseries, all the 3 miseries, all the 4 problems, because you have got the principle of life. The principle, the true happiness mantra is ABCDE. Association, book, chanting, eating prasadam, engaging in the service of the Lord to get a karma, and following the 4 regulatory principles. This is the path to true happiness. And Krishna has promised us in Bhagavad Gita time and again, come to me, come to me, and come to me. I'm waiting for you. Right? And if we do that, we will get the path to the true happiness. Thank you so much, everybody. I'm so sorry it went till 11:40. Plan was to go till 11:20. Thank you, everybody, for waiting and hearing me patiently. Hari Bol, Hare Krishna. Any questions?
Krishna.
Any thought? Any reflection? Anything? 5 minutes we can do, Prabhu, or we have to wrap it off?
We can take 1 or 2 quick questions. So thank you so much for everybody's participation. I see a little bit less count today, less count of devotees, but that's okay. Whoever can made it up. So any 1 or 2 questions?
I don't have a question, but I want to thank you for this beautiful presentation today. It was very thought-provoking and life-changing.
Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you, Naresh.
Thank,
Vinamata, you have a question?
thank you very much. No question. It was very interesting lecture. Thank you very much, Shalini ji.
Thank you so much, Bina Mata. Thank you so much.
Okay.
I would just say, Prabhu, all the devotees who have joined this class, please make an effort. Just not get engaged in the pause, because Prabhupada says, just one last thing, Prabhupada says, when we think we are happy, actually we are not happy. We are not miserable. Anything that is not misery, we consider it as happiness. Had it been happiness, it would always last, right? Why it is that it fluctuates? And why our happiness is dependent on others? So that all things we have to always keep thinking. And we have very simple process. The first step is, if you stay nearby to ISKCON Baltimore, make an effort to come. Come to the temple. Show your beautiful bright face to Lord Krishna. And don't see Krishna. Pray to Krishna, Krishna, please see me. then the bhakti will start, and then you will not look for happiness around you. Happiness will come within you. And when you are happy internally, then you will not lament on the loss of your near ones. It will be painful, immediate effect would be painful for everybody. But then you have the philosophy backing you up. And when that philosophy is there, you get the eternal strength that comes from Krishna. Give to everything to Krishna and then let Krishna decide. Like Gajendra, like our Ajamil, even though his thought was not that, but see, Krishna came. When he can come to Ajamil, he can definitely come for us, right? If we pay with all our heart and soul to it, right? Thank you so much, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, everyone.
We'll see you next week now for our next session or final session. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Shalini Mataji.
Hari Bol. Thank you so much, Prabhu.